What is going on YouTube? Matty Ice here, and today we are talking college football, particularly with the Pac-12 and what I believe is going to happen to them this football season. Starting off with the Pac-12 North, the teams in this area are California, Oregon, Oregon State, Stanford, Washington, and Washington State. It's going to be interesting to find out who wins in this area. We're going to start off with California. The big question is, can they replace Jared Goff? And, can they keep up the success of what they had last year? I don't believe that's going to happen this year. They had a lot of talent that left, and they have a lot of talent to replace. They start off the year playing Hawaii in Australia. I do believe they'll get that win. I don't see them winning more than 4 or 5 games this season just because of all the players that have left. So that's what I've got going for California for them this year. I believe it's going to be a rebuild season. Hope they might get into a bowl game. Who knows? But I don't have them winning any more than 5 games. Moving on to Oregon, Mark Helfrich, the head coach. This is going to be his 3rd year, I believe, as head coach, 4th year, and he has got to do a good job with this team. He's got a lot of talent returning. They actually have a chance to win the Pac-12 North and will go to the Pac-12 championship. But, I still see him going at least winning 8 to 9 games and making it to a bowl game. So, that's where I got them at. Going on to Oregon State. Question is, can they get back in it to winning big and being the upset and being more than just the upset team? Because that's what they have been for the last couple of years. I just don't see that happening for them this year. I still believe that they are going to be the upset team. Moving on to Stanford. Can this be Christian McCaffrey's year? He was one of the Heisman finalists last year. Stanford won the Rose Bowl. McCaffrey broke the all-time all-purpose yards record. Can he do it again? Can he be a Heisman frontrunner? Honestly, I believe he can, with a lot of people returning back for Stanford, and Stanford's picked to do real good things this year. And as you think, last year they lost first game of the year to Northwestern. That set them back a lot, but they won every single game. They did beat Iowa in the Rose Bowl. And so I believe that they're going to be doing real good this year like they did last year. Can they go undefeated and make it to the playoffs? It all depends on them, though. Moving on to Washington. Everybody says this is the team this year. Washington is going to have the team that wins the Pac-12 and goes to the playoff. There's a good chance that they could do that, but I see them at least losing 1 or 2 games this year, just with the doubt of their schedule. But I do believe they're going to have a really, really good season coming up for this year. And next team is Washington State. Can Mike Leach have success like he did last year? They did beat Miami in a bowl game last year. I do believe that he is going to have more success than he is this year than he did last year. That's what I got going for the North. And coming in last place, I have California. At number 5 is Oregon State. At number 4, I have Washington State. Now, the next 3 all are toss-ups because any one of them could win the Pac-12 North. But I have Oregon and Mark Helfrich's team going to come in 3rd place this year. At number 2, I have Washington. And the reason why I have Stanford at number 1 is basically Christian McCaffrey and the load that Stanford comes back with talent-wise. Now moving on to the South, and there's a lot of good teams in the South, particularly with Arizona, Arizona State, Colorado, UCLA, USC, and Utah. We're going to start off with Arizona. Can they get back in it? They were contenders a couple of years ago, but they lost a lot of talent. Lost in the Fiesta Bowl to Boise State a few years ago, and they kind of slumped down from last year. I still think they're going to be kind of in the middle, win 6 games, 7 games, we'll make it to a bowl game. I don't have them being really successful this year. Moving on to Arizona State. Can they get back in it, being the top dog, being the top contender? I don't see that happening either. I have them at least winning 7 to 8 games, but who knows? Arizona State might do real good this year, but I believe, winning 6, 7, 8 games will be their number this year. Moving on to Colorado, this is probably Mike McIntyre. Is he on the hot seat this year? That's a little question for him. Colorado hasn't had a lot of success like they've had in a few years, but he could turn the program around and bring them back to a little success. But I don't see Colorado doing that good this year, and Mike McIntyre, he probably will be on the hot seat or is on the hot seat coming on to this season. Moving on to UCLA and sophomore quarterback Josh Rosen. He had a lot of success at the beginning of the season. Fell behind in the later part of the season, but will he have success? I do believe so. He was the hottest quarterback last year, kind of slumped down a little bit. He gets back in the groove of things and continues a whole season. They could be the top dogs to finish Pac-12 South and could win the Pac-12. It all depends on him. Moving on to USC and Clay Helton, they have probably the biggest match with anybody all year. That's defending national champion Alabama in Dallas. I don't see that being a big upset this year, but I do have USC winning a lot of games, at least 9 or 10 games this season. So they could just win the Pac-12 South. Final team is Utah. They had a lot of success last year. Upset Michigan in the first game of the year. Can they keep up the success they did? I think they do, just not as successful. I at least have them winning 8 games. They might win 9 or 10 if they can keep things going, but if they would have kept things going real good last year, they would have participated for the Pac-12 championship, and they could have been a playoff team. Who knows? But coming out of the South, I have Colorado coming in number 6. For number 5 is Arizona. At number 4, I have Arizona State. At number 3 is Utah. And for number 2 and 1, toss up between USC and UCLA. It could come down to the last game of the year between these two, but I have USC winning the Pac-12 South, and I have UCLA winning coming in second place in the Pac-12 this year. So that's what I got going for them. And between the Pac-12 championship, between Stanford and USC, it is a toss-up, and it will be a good game, but I have Stanford winning the Pac-12 this year. Christian McCaffrey, I believe he's going to have an outstanding year. I believe that he's going to have a big repeat from last season, and they could possibly be contenders this year for the national championship if they can get things the way they want it to. So that's my predictions for the Pac-12, and we're going to see what happens to them this upcoming football season.